I never thought my marriage would lead me here. If someone had told me 5 years ago that I would end up sleeping with another man, with my husband's blessing, no less, I would have laughed in their face. But life is strange. Love is stranger. And healing. Healing is a path that winds through valleys you never expect, pulling you toward truths you might not even know you're searching for. My name is Clara. I met Daniel when I was 23, just out of college, broke, and working as a receptionist in a law firm where ambition seemed to coat the walls. Daniel wasn't a lawyer. He wasn't even part of the corporate hustle that kept everyone's eyes darting and shoulders tense. He was a writer, quiet and a little awkward, with a habit of sketching in his notebook while waiting for me after work. Our love began the way all stories do, with a spark. It was innocent, fragile, almost clumsy in the beginning. But Daniel had this steady way of looking at me, like he saw past the mask I wore for the world and into the secret, restless parts of my soul. And for a long time, that was enough. We married 3 years later, in a small ceremony in upstate New York. My dress was simple, ivory with lace sleeves that made me feel like I belonged to another time. Daniel cried when I walked down the aisle. His tears were not loud or dramatic, just soft and real, and I knew then that if I did nothing else in life, I had chosen someone who loved me deeply. But marriage is not only about love. It's about trust, about silence, about the weight of time pressing two people closer until they either melt into one or break apart. For us, it was both. Daniel had always been fragile with intimacy. Not emotionally, he gave me his soul without hesitation, but physically. It began with little things, excuses about being too tired, nights when he rolled away instead of toward me. At first, I told myself it was normal, that every couple goes through dry spells. But months stretched into years, and intimacy became a ghost in our home, a shadow neither of us dared to touch. I felt like I was fading. I loved him with all my being, yet I couldn't ignore the aching hunger in my body, the way my skin longed for touch. It wasn't about sex, not really. It was about feeling alive, connected, wanted. And when that part of our marriage fell silent, something inside me began to fracture. I tried to talk to him. Many times. Sometimes with patience, sometimes with tears, sometimes with anger that frightened even me. Daniel listened, always, his face soft with regret, his hands trembling when he reached for mine. He promised he would try. And he did, therapy, medication, long nights of talking under the quilt. But the spark of physical desire never seemed to return. One evening, after yet another therapy session that ended in silence, Daniel sat across from me at the kitchen table, his eyes glistening. "Clara," he said quietly, "what if we tried something different?" I remember frowning, my fork pausing midair. "Different how?" His voice shook. "What if I let you be with someone else?" The words hung between us like smoke. My first reaction was shock, then anger. "Are you insane? You're my husband." "I know," he whispered, tears spilling now. "And I love you. But I can't give you what you need. And watching you slowly die inside, watching your light dim because of me, it's killing me, Clara. I don't want to lose you. I'd rather share you than lose you." That night, I couldn't sleep. His words haunted me. Was he serious? Could I ever betray the vows we made, even with his consent? The idea seemed both unthinkable and strangely liberating. Weeks passed. We didn't bring it up again. But the silence between us deepened, heavy with unspoken truth. And then one evening, Daniel broke it. "There's someone," he said. His voice was calm, almost rehearsed. "Someone I trust. Someone I think you might connect with." I stared at him, my heart pounding. "You've thought about this?" He nodded. "His name is Aaron. He's a friend. Not close, but enough that I know he's good. Safe." I should have screamed. I should have walked out. But instead, I just sat there, stunned, because a tiny, shameful part of me felt relief. Relief that maybe, just maybe, there was a way to bridge the aching gap inside me. Meeting Aaron was like stepping into a different world. He was older than us, in his early 40s, with kind eyes and a steadiness that reminded me of Daniel in the early years. He was gentle, soft-spoken, but carried a quiet confidence that drew me in. We met for coffee first, then dinner. Always with Daniel's blessing, always with the heavy weight of secrecy stripped away. I expected guilt. I expected to feel dirty, to despise myself. Instead, what I felt was alive. The first time Aaron touched me, just the brush of his hand against mine across the table, my whole body shivered. It was as if someone had turned the lights back on in a house that had been dark for years. When we finally slept together, it wasn't wild or reckless. It was tender, slow, almost reverent. I cried afterward, curled against Aaron's chest, because it wasn't just sex. It was proof that I was still capable of feeling, of burning, of being wanted. Telling Daniel was the hardest part. I sat across from him, trembling, my voice breaking as I confessed. But he only nodded, tears in his eyes, and whispered, "Was it good? Did you feel alive again?" I broke then, sobbing in his arms, because how could love be this complicated, this selfless, this painful?